Alrighty, students, welcome to our last unit of the semester, Unit 4, Similarity. Lesson 4.1, Ratios and Proportions. Please make note of both the date and time that you are watching this video. And don't forget to get a parent, guardian, or teacher signature there. Let's do a quick recap of a previous problem. It says we are given the end point of a segment and its midpoint. We want to find the other end point of the segment. So we're given the end point 4, 4. And another midpoint of 8, 5. Negative 8, positive 5. That's our midpoint, which means our other endpoint is going to be off here somewhere. And we don't know what its x and y is. But we do know there's equal distance going both ways. So let's take a look at what our distances would be. Ask yourself, what would be the distance between 4 and negative 8? You should have gotten 12. So going this way, we ask ourselves, what is 12 units away from negative 8? And then we'll get our x, but it's to the left. So we're minusing 12 from negative 8. We get negative 20. So our coordinate here is negative 20. Now let's check out y. We're going from 4 to 5. Now technically we're going up the number line. Notice the slight tilt up. So by 1 unit. So there's going to be a slight tilt up here. Ask yourself, what is 1 unit away here? We're going upwards. And so for this, the answer is 6. We're going to be talking about something called similarity, ratios, and proportions. Please read and say these words with me and check them off. Ratio, proportion, similar, scale factor, extremes, means. You should have a highlighter or colors on hand. Definition of a ratio. A ratio is simply comparison by division. A comparison of two numbers by division. And there's several ways we can note ratios. One way is just by using words. Another way is a colon. Another way is a fraction. And last is a decimal. Let me give you an example. There's a ratio, 3 to 4. That would be a ratio, using the word 2. Or what's common among cleaning solutions is the colon style, 3 to 4. That's a ratio. The fraction, 3 over 4, is a ratio. And if you divide 3 by 4, or you just ask yourselves, what is 3/4 of $1? That'll give you the decimal. 3/4 of $1 is 0.75. So there are different styles that we can encounter ratios. Now, a proportion is when you have an equation of ratios. An equation of ratios. So a ratio is something over something. That's a ratio. A proportion is when you have two ratios that are equal. That's called a proportion. Now, in proportions, we have something called means and extremes. Means and extremes. If something is a proportion, the product of the means equals the product of the extremes. What do I mean by that? Let's take this proportion here. Let's do a proportion of 12 over 24, and let's reduce it, which of course is 1/2. Let's take that now and order these terms from lowest to highest. The lowest term is a 1. The next term is 2, then 12, and then 24. The middle terms are called the means. Those are called means. The very beginning and very end are called the extremes. So in this case, the product of the means is 2 and 12. And if you multiply 2 and 12, you're going to get 24. And if you multiply the extremes, we get 1 and 24. You multiply that, you get 24. So what we see here is when you multiply the means, it equals the same product as the extremes. You know this process as cross multiplying. Let's do some applications using proportions. Said Shauna drove 245 miles and used 8.2 gallons of gas. At the same rate as she drove 416 miles, how many gallons of gas will she need? Round to the nearest 10. Well, we're connecting miles to gallons of gas. We're going to make a proportion, so for every 245 miles she drove, she utilized 8.2 gallons of gas. Then here we're told that she drove 416 miles. That matches with the top. Now we have an unknown gallon of gas. We're going to use the property of the product of the means equals the product of the extremes, so we're going to cross multiply. So we draw the cross multiplication arrows, and we're going to get 8.2 times 416 equals 245 times x. Now we're going to solve for x here. So x is going to equal 8.2 times 416 divided by 245. At this point, you may get out a calculator. And we're going to go 8.2 times 416 divided by 245. We get a decimal. Now make sure you check your instructions. Our instruction says round to the nearest tenth. So tenth would be the first decimal place, which is 13.9. So she utilized approximately 13.9 gallons. So what I'd like you to do now is take a shot at these 4 problems on your own. Please really, truly try to do these on your own. I'm going to give you 5 minutes, and then when the 5 minutes are up, whatever you have done, let's go over it together. Okay, let's see how you did here. We're going to solve for this proportion. It says 3 to an unknown is as 18 to 24. The 2's are the fraction, is an equal sign. So we should have 3 to an unknown is as 18 to 24. And you simply cross multiply and you solve for x here. Or another way you could look at that, if you reduce 18 and 24, 6 goes in there 3 times, and 6 goes in there 4 times, so you see x equals 4. Either way, you could have done it by the reduction or by the cross multiplication. We want to write this fraction in simplest form, 44 centimeters, 2, that's a fraction bar, 2 meters. Now, let me show you what would have been wrong. What would have been wrong is 44 to 2, which reduces to 22. That is incorrect. The reason is there's a change of units here. You have to watch out for change of units. Before you can actually write this proportion, you have to change units. There is 100 centimeters for every 1 meter. That prefix centi means century. So our proportion actually looks like this. 44 centimeters over 200 centimeters. Now we can reduce this. We divide both sides by 4. If 4 goes in there 11 times, 4 goes in there 50 times. So our answer is 11 over 50. Two supplementary angles have a ratio of 3 to 2. Find the measure of those angles. So what we have here is supplementary, and they have a ratio of 2 to 3. Or 3 to 2. That means they add up to 180. So what we have here is we have 3 of something plus 2 of something equals 180. So we simply solve here for 180. And we get 36. So 2 times 36, this actual angle measure is 72. This actual angle measure is 108. When we solve for the variable, I'd like you to circle, cross multiply, 5 parentheses y minus 3. Please do not do the distribute in your head. Circle, cross multiply, 8 y plus 6. Now you draw your distributive lines. Click 5y minus 15 equals 8y plus 48. And bring it over here. We have negative 15 equals 3y plus 48. The answer is here 33. No, it's adding. So we add this. This is 3, carry the 1. And we are going to get 63 here, and it's negative equals 3y. So we divide by 3. And we get y equals 21, and it's negative. Now that we know how to use proportions, the rest of the lesson is going to revolve around proportions. The concept of similarity is this. When items have the same shape, so the shape here is equal, but a different size. The size changes here, but the shape does not. That's called similar. They're not exactly the same, they're not exactly congruent, but they are similar. And the shape and the symbol we use for similarity is this symbol here. So these Valley t-shirts are similar. Things that have the same shape, but a different size. That's similar. Another way for similarity, to define similarity, is geometrically, is the acronym SCARE, which means similar shapes have congruent angles and side ratios which are equal. Congruent angles, side ratios which are equal. So take a look here. We have corresponding congruent angles. Now we're going to check the side ratios. The side ratio, 8 to 4, or 4 to 8, that's a 1 to 2 ratio. 6 to 12, that's a 1 to 2 ratio. 2.8 to 5.6, if you double 2.8, that's a 1 to 2 ratio. So notice the ratios are the same all the way around. We would say these shapes are similar. Scale factor. Scale factor is the ratio of the sides of similar shapes. The ratio of the sides. When we see the term scale factor, it means side over side. So side divided by of one side by the other side. Side over side, or side to side with a colon. So here we're going to find the scale factor of the similar rectangles to the right. Scale factor. I like to go scale factor from smallest to greatest, just as a general rule. So I'm going to go from 3 to 15. And here we're going to go 9 to 45, and we're going to see if both of these should be the same. 3 to 15 reduces to 1 to 5, and this reduces 1 to 5, so we would say the scale factor here is a 1 to 5 ratio, smaller to larger. Now using this, let's test to see, first off, if these shapes are similar. To test them, we're going to use SCARE. Congruent angles, ratios equal. So let's check. The angles are all congruent, they're right angles, so that's congruent angles. Let's check to see if ratios are equal. We have 5 to 8, and then we have 6 to 12. If you were to cross multiply these would not be equal. They do not reduce to the same thing. This reduces 1/2. This does not reduce any further. So we would say these shapes are not similar because the ratios are not equal, even if the angles are. Now, when ratios are equal, when shapes are similar, then the sides are proportional. We can use proportions to solve for unknown lengths. The image below are similar. We're going to solve for the missing side. So put the little similarity sign there. So we're going to start by doing a thing equation, which is side over side. If things are similar, this is true, equals side over side. So let's start. Side over side. I'm going left to right. And if I start left to right, I have to finish left to right. Equals side over side. From here, you cross multiply. To solve for x, I'm going to divide by 9. Because I didn't multiply, it's really easy to factor this out. 6 goes into, 3 goes in here twice. 3 goes in here 3 times. Then we can do this. 3 goes in here 7 times. So the answer is 2 times 7, which is 14. Says find the variable in side length knowing the shapes are similar. So here the shapes we're told are similar, which means we can do this. Side over side equals side over side. Now look very carefully. We're given a scale factor from A to B. So we're going to first establish that we're going this direction, A to B. Draw a little arrow there. Now remember, scale factor is the first primary side over side ratio. So we're going to take A to B, that's our order. We're going to go 2 over 3 equals 14, long over long, over 7 plus x. From here we cross multiply. Distribute. Take away the 14. We have 28 equals 2x. Divide by 2, and x equals 14. Which makes this whole side to be 21. Now let's check, because this 14 over 21 should reduce to 2/3. 2 goes in there, 7 goes in there twice, 7 goes in there 3 times. There's our check. We know we're correct. All right, you take a shot at the next few problems here. These 2 pages, completely on your own, should take you about 5 minutes. When you're done, let's check our work. All right, let's take a look and see how you did. So, given these shapes are similar, find the scale factor of the smaller to the larger image. That's the first one here. Scale factor. So we're going to go flat side to flat side, or we can go diagonal side to diagonal side. You have to match the sides up. We're going from smaller to larger. So we're going this way here. So 21 to 49, 7 goes into both, so 7 goes in there 3 times, 7 goes in there 7 times. So your scale factor is 3 to 7. Let's take a look at the scale factor here. We're going from longest to longest. Or we can go here from short edge to short edge. I'm going to do that, small to long here. 28. 4 goes into both. 4 goes in there 6 times. 4 goes in there 7 times. So that is a 6 to 7 ratio scale factor. Now we're going to utilize scale factor to solve for unknown sides. So let's say here, our scale factor here is going from A to B, 2 to 3. Circle A, circle B. A to B, 2 to 3. And that's going to be equaling x plus 3 to 21. From here we cross multiply, and we end up with 3 times x plus 3 equals 2 times 21. Distribute. 3x plus 9 equals 42. Minus 9. We're going to get 3x equals 33, and x is therefore 11. If we plug in x here, we get 14. Let's check. 14 to 21. 7 goes in there twice. 7 goes in there 3 times. Boom, we got to check. It works. The scale factor is going from A to B is 3 to 7. Now be very careful here, because look at those shapes. We're going now from right to left. From A to B. So watch your orders there. So we're going to go 3 to 7. That's A to B. Equals 36 to 3x plus 27. Now we're going to cross multiply. Get 3x plus 27 equals 3 times 36. I see that I have 3 on both sides, so I'm just going to divide both sides by 3 and just get rid of it completely. So I have 3x plus 27 on the inside of the parentheses equals 36 minus 27. And I get 3x equals 9, therefore x is 3. We come over here, we plug in 3, that's 9, plus 27 is 30. The benefits of actually plugging things in and realizing it doesn't work is going back and checking what we did wrong. Look very carefully. That's why we want to check. Can you spot my mistake? Look carefully here. Take a few seconds, see if you spotted my mistake. My mistake here is this has to be a 3 to 7 ratio. I did not circle, plug, chug. So this right here is a 7. Even the teacher makes mistakes when you don't do circle, plug, chug. So now we have 7 times 36 equals 3x plus 27. We'll take it from there. We get 7 times 36. It's 252 equals 9x plus 3 times 27 is 81. Now we're going to minus 81 both sides. And we get 171 equals 9x. So we're going to take 171 and divide by 9. And we're going to get 19. X equals 19. We're going to determine if the following images are similar. This is your last problem. All you had to do was to check those ratios on the sides. And let's check them here. 12 to 4, that's going to be a 3 to 1 ratio. 18 to 6, that is a 3 to 1 ratio. 6.9 to 2.3, that is a 3 to 1 ratio. So this first one is a yes. Let's check these guys. 4 to 6, that's a 2 to 3 ratio. And 6 to 12, that's a 1 to 2 ratio. The ratios don't match. This one was a no. Let's check this one. 12 to 8. 4 goes in there 3 times, 4 goes in there twice. So this is a 3 to 2 ratio. 24 to 16. That is a 8 goes in there 3 times, 8 goes in there twice. That is a 3 to 2 ratio. This is also a 3 to 2 ratio. So the answer for this was a yes.